Gather around, everyone. Anthony is doing a sketchbook tour.
All right, today we get to dive into a sketchbook that I worked on last year. So my sketchbooks, particularly these super awesome sketchbooks, are a big mix of just either professional work, random doodles, or maybe when I'm teaching from a live stream. So we're gonna see a whole bunch of different things in this particular book. So without further delay, we're gonna dive right in. So on Wednesdays over my Twitch live streams, I teach character design, art illustration, composition, the list goes on and on and on. This particular day, we were doing studies from character design from animation, just images that I found really expressive and really just interesting. And here, these are expressions that I don't typically spend time making. And boy, oh boy, it was a ton of fun. These Ninja Turtle designs, I can't remember what these specifically came from, but man, they really just sort of stuck in my head. And I think the big thing from these studies is it really allowed me to just maybe take my lines just a little bit bigger, a little bit bolder. A good reminder, obviously, every once in a while. What's on this next page here? So every so often, a man just needs to draw some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and we need to just draw Krang. So I drew Krang. I have not drawn Krang a whole lot, so there's going to be somebody watching this video right now who's like, that's not a good Krang, Anthony, and I'm going to say that I understand. One of the things that we do on my live streams over on Twitch every so often is a very, let's just say, fun thing called the Wheeler of Doom. Doom is spelled with 6 O's. This is where we put a lot of horrific ideas on a wheel. We spin the wheel. Whatever we select on the wheel, we have 20 minutes, and that's purely it to draw. The very first Wheeler of Doom sketch I did was the sentient pear. I felt really quite good about the sentient pear. Also on the wheel was Great Aunt Carol. I just sometimes get these ideas of these like just random characters, and I just love the idea of like a reoccurring character named Great Aunt Carol. Here's an adorable demon. He's got a tiny little diaper on because he's a baby demon. And then I think on this one, it was my friend Nancy's birthday. So we had a Blorfday cake. And unfortunately, this Blorfday cake is setting itself on fire. Another Wheeler of Doom prompt. This is pain and suffering. I think this is self-explanatory. I will say this ignorant duck character, you will see him frequently through this sketchbook. These mushrooms, I needed to draw sort of like a patch, an art patch for a page in my art book, Unusual Subjects Volume 2. We had this thing requiring these mushrooms for a garden gnome fight club.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I know you're probably trying to process all of it. But just know that these mushrooms were for a fight club for garden gnomes, okay? This is more Wheeler of Doom. This prompt was expand your mind. I really thought it was funny in that moment, in that 20-minute pressure session to draw the ignorant duck, but with a giant brain. This one I thought was really funny. My live stream audience, I don't think they enjoyed it as much, but the prompt was Flipper Flapper. So I drew a dolphin who was gossiping to a seagull. I think that this is really clever, but I don't think in that live stream that I got nearly the amount of credit that I should have, and how dare they. This one was just simply stitches. The idea of a rabbit with a crowbar. I know I'm talking a lot about these Twitch live streams. Obviously, you guys should follow that. But every so often, we do a thing called the Draw This in Your Style. And we picked our friend Dana. Dana draws these incredible pieces of art. And what we do in those sessions is we try to understand how another artist just draws and makes and comes up with a concept. So this is me aping and then doing studies from her original piece of art. And she created this little sun character, which I just thought was so cool. More demon, more sun. In these sketches, what I'm really trying to do is I'm trying to find character, I'm trying to find shape, and I'm trying to find size, which is a theme that you'll probably see a little bit more here in the sketchbook. One of the tasks that I gave myself this last year was to draw a Viking. So these are Viking sketches. These are just random doodles. One of the things that you can tell is that when I sketch sometimes, especially with a graphite pencil, I try to keep it super messy. I don't want to like overthink. I don't want to over complete, especially in a sketchbook if it's not meant to be a finished piece of art. And man, I just wanted to draw a big, chunky Viking with a lot of messy lines. This tiny little sketch is a Wolverine. A similar process, just trying to find shape, character, moment, intensity. This is the thing that just, who cares? Didn't work, okay? Sometimes things just don't work. I should have just ripped it out. This was a super fun page of art. So on Fridays, every so often, I co-host a segment over at SVS Learn called Freaky Friday. This is where my partner Lee White and I, and sometimes a rotating cast of characters, will find subject matter, disparate subject matter, sort of all over the place. And then we have to sort of draw it in our style, and we get a whole bunch of people involved. It's a great draw-along session. In this particular case, my friend Lee was really focused on design or industrial design and found some really interesting objects out in the world. I didn't want to draw those objects. That day, I just wanted to draw monsters because I thought it was funny. So this is a stand-up bass that I turned into a monster. You can probably tell that this was a tea kettle that I turned into a monster. You can probably tell that this is a moped that I turned into a snail monster. So fun. Page 2 gets a little bit stranger. Okay, so this was an RV. I don't remember. Actually, I do. This was a chair. This was an industrial, cool-looking chair. I turned it into Frankenstein with a giant nose. 3 chaotic draw-along prompt cards. We have Adorable, we have Pirate, we have Triplet. This was a session that I did in my live stream to really warm up, but also to show people who watch my live streams just what my creative process looks like. How am I starting to weave my way into these characters, into the stories? How am I trying to incorporate elements? So what you see here first is I'm coming up with a couple of adorable pirates, triplets. And I like the idea of the of putting the eye patches over, you know, their ears and then their mouth and thing like that. Then I came up to this idea of like, well, maybe I have them getting super sleepy. Like, I think that that's fun. So maybe we take some of the elements from the pirate ship, like maybe some of the planks or barrels that might have housed oranges so they didn't get scurvy. But I like the idea of like a little octopus as like a spinning mobile to keep these babies calm or interested. This is the kind of stuff where again, we don't opt out before we opt in, and we just make stuff. This was a further exploration of that. Frankly, none of this is any better than what I did on that previous page, but sometimes it all adds up so you can get to a better piece of art. Have I achieved that? We'll find out. I don't remember exactly what, was this an event that I hosted or if I hosted over on Freaky Friday draw along sessions over at SVS? I don't remember. I don't. But again, we found character designs, likely from animation, and the idea was to study them, and then the idea was to exaggerate them. And so there was this character here with this long pointy nose, which I almost just said very weird. And I almost immediately saw that character as like a little bird. Now again, the fun thing about doing explorative concept and character design is that this kind of thing I think is a character that I could incorporate into a comic. There were these little fox characters. This is, I think, where I started, and this is where I exaggerated to. There was this little nymph character. I thought it would be adorable to turn it into like a little frog fairy character. Again, rough sketching, just trying to get marks on a paper. I don't know what that was. That's just weird. We're back to the Wheeler of Doom. Remember, 6 O's. This one, I didn't write what the prompts were, but I remember them perfectly, almost as if it was yesterday. This is Aggressive Neck. This is my character, Gil. Gil is the kind of kid who gets into an awful lot of trouble and is on the precipice of death and doom at all times. I thought he would be the perfect candidate to have an aggressive neck. This is Pineapple on Pizza. I think it's disgusting. Look, I like some sweet and savory things. No, knock it off. I'm gonna spritz you with a water bottle. All of you commenters like, I love pineapple on pizza, Anthony. No, you don't, it's weird. Go get your fruit elsewhere, weirdos. This one, I also have an obsession with ducks. These are ignorant ducks. But I also have this obsession with like piles of ducks. And then this particularly is a gore pile of ducks. This is farts that talk. That's self-explanatory. This is Captain Fart. Now again, these are all Wheeler of Doom. I'm not just out here in these mean streets just drawing farts randomly. These were prompts that were selected. I didn't get the choice. But this is Captain Fart. This was just a warm-up sketch on my daily live stream. I had been scouring Pinterest, just looking for anything interesting. And in my travels, I was reminded of a video game that I played and loved called Kena Bridge of Spirits, which I get confused with that Tom Hanks movie, Bridge of Lies or Bridge of Spies, or who cares? And there was these wooden masks in that Kena game, and I was like, oh, man, what if I do one of those? And then I had been drawing a bunch of antlers around this time, and I was like, what if I put some antlers on that? And then it just turned into this sketch, and it honestly is one of my favorite little 30-minute doodles that I had done recently. The final page of the sketchbook, I got particularly hyped for the Superman movie before it came out, and guess what? I loved it. I've seen it a lot. I think it's a really fantastic movie. This was my lame-o attempt at drawing Superman. He has an aggressively long neck as opposed to an aggressive neck like Gil had. But sometimes this is just how things go. If I redrew this, I'd probably do different proportions. Did it succeed? No. Was the movie good? Yeah. I hope you've enjoyed this tour. If you have enjoyed the tour, you should press all the buttons like all the YouTubers say. I don't know, I don't care. But I would like to do more of these tours, so if you would like that, maybe you could comment and say, yeah, today I'd really like more of these sketchbook tours, and then I could probably do that. If you don't comment, then I'll never do them again. I'm gonna punish you. Goodbye.